Thank you so much. I live to make it complex.
Let's all take a deep breath, deep cleansing breath in. Just fill those lungs up. And when you're ready, release and just settle in. Grand rising, everyone. Grand rising. My name is Elaine, and it's just my pleasure to walk us through this morning, and it's a glorious morning. And it's a day when we just open ourselves, open our hearts to all the blessings, and we're so grateful for being here. And you know, when I stand here, it just gives me pleasure to just see the wonderful, beautiful spirits, and we're so grateful for this day. And to start off our service, I'll light our Christ candle. And this is just a symbol and a reminder of the Christ light in all of us. And it usually lights. Okay, all righty. Let's will it. And while we wait, we'll remember that we're all symbols of Christ. And thank you, Gail. Let there be light. Okay. All right, and with us today for our opening song, we have the Meta Music Group, and they've been with us before, Jonathan and Hazel, and we just see them raising that vibration. And Meta Music, the shorthand for metaphysical music, and they focus on quality, thoughtful approach to all forms of live music. And with all their music and instruments, they're tuned into Earth's healing frequency at 432 hertz. And we say welcome and thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Is this thing on? Great.
Hello? Oh, mine too. Good morning.
My name's Hazel Voss.
And I'm Johnny Bossi.
And we are Metamusic together. It's an honor to have been invited back here. Turn my own volume up so I can hear my own voice in here. Today we've got some wonderful music curated for you. What you may notice is a theme that all of our songs are inspired by the 12 powers of unity. I think maybe some of you heard of them. So we hope you enjoy a little bit about our background from at least faith that you may hear in our music. As I grew up in an evangelical megachurch, you know, the big stuff you see online. And I believe, Johnny, you're a recovering Catholic. We got some of those everywhere in Unity. Our first song is I Never Knew, and it's inspired by the faculty of power. And a lot of that has to do with realizing that power is not exertion over anyone else, but it's that dominion that you have within your own mind and your ability to choose thoughts. And this song specifically is about that feeling that you have when you realize what that power truly is. So we hope you enjoy. We may invite you to stand up if you don't want to or you're not able to. Feel free to just clap along. We'll help you out.
While they're doing that, if your heart leads you, please offer any donations you can that goes to help feeding the hungry in our community.
Please feel free. Just feel free to feel the vibe. In the silence of my soul, I found strength to behold. Here and now, Spirit is my key. I've walked through valleys, and now I see. I never knew how good it would feel, living in my power, embracing all I've healed. I am claiming my abilities, divine ideas, dominion, their faculties. In the silence of my soul, I found strength to behold. Here and now, Spirit is my key. I've walked through valleys, and now I see. I never knew how good it would feel, living in my power, embracing all that's healed. Claim it. I am claiming my abilities, divine ideas, dominion, their faculties. All right, this is for everyone. My voice holds power, speaking truths I see. Together, we're stronger. In unity, we're free. You feel that? My voice holds power, speaking truths I see. Together, we're stronger. In unity, we're free. My voice holds power, speaking truths I see. Together, we're stronger. In unity, we're free. Yeah. My voice holds power, speaking truths I see. Together, we're stronger. In unity, we're free. I never knew how good it would feel, living in my power, embracing all that's healed. I am claiming my abilities, divine ideas, dominion, their faculties. I never knew how good it would feel, living in my power, embracing all that's healed.
And again, welcome to our service here today. And is there anyone here for the first time? Oh, well, welcome, and a little baby girl. And yeah, so we have a welcome package there for you. Yeah, I'm so glad you could join us today. And the only thing we may ask, if you're comfortable, there's a little card there if you want to fill your name and just share your email with us so we can keep you updated on all the activities here. And there's always something going on. Okay. And today we have Reverend Elizabeth Thompson, who will be our speaker today. And we say welcome. Yes, I think she's been here before, so welcome back. All right, and just a quick bio on Reverend Elizabeth. She serves the unity movement by exploring the teachings and living the universal spiritual principles of life as a dynamic spiritual adventure. She has served Unity Movement as a mentor for those in the field licensing for becoming ministers. She served in the expansion team, Silent Unity, and senior minister of Unity of Sarasota, Unity Renaissance in Chesapeake, Virginia, and Christ Unity in Charlotte, North Carolina. So this has been one busy lady. Well, you're doing great. She's now minister at large, which is not surprising, and looking for all opportunities to say yes to the divine. And walking the talk is her spiritual daily practice. And this gives freedom and wisdom, and she does this with a sense of humor. She's had me laughing all morning. All right, Reverend Elizabeth and her husband Neil now share this adventure both on land and on their sailboat Toucan, the number 2. And her life purpose centers around cultivating holy relationships with all, no exceptions, through compassion and wisdom. Just feel that. Reverend Elizabeth and Neil have cruised the islands in the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean on Toucan. And she recently went to Australia and New Zealand. She is a spiritual traveler. And they now look forward to other sailing adventures and keeping a clean wake. And they're both so passionate about this, their legacy, and see the planet as blessed and participate in sustaining for generations to follow. And I have to say, I had a sneak peek at her talk today, and it is powerful, meaningful, and applicable. So brace yourselves, yeah? So let's give a big welcome to Reverend Elizabeth Thompson. All right. So now we take a moment to just center down and focus on our reason for being Unity of Port Richey, beg your pardon. Unity of everywhere. All right, and we'll say our vision statement together. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And our mission, through prayer, service, education, and outreach, we support transformation and heart-centered living. And our core values, how we show up every day, we are spirit-led, we're learning, we're loving, joy-filled, and community. And so it is. And for Daily Word today, we have the lovely Renee.
Good morning. It's so fun to see all these faces. I was telling Reverend Barbara, before we have service, I sit in the prayer room just so that anyone wants to come in for prayer. And it is amazing to see everyone come in and their interactions and the energy. Guys, we are spirit-filled. I'm telling you, I can feel it. So we'll do our prayer daily word today, and together we'll read this. Courageous and strong, I am resilient. Let's give that a little more oomph at the I am resilient. Let's try that one again. Courageous and strong, I am resilient. Now that's what I'm talking about. Everyone who gets knocked down from time to time has the choice whether to get up or give up. Getting up and gathering the strength and desire to try again is resilience. Spiritual living helps us to build that. Claiming divine ideas in prayer, engaging in the power of imagination to envision your success, and using your wisdom and will to discern the best way forward and choose it to helps me to become resilient in the face of defeat and discouragement. Through the power of Christ within, I am willing to try until I succeed. I understand setbacks happen to everyone. I do not let them deter me or take a failed effort personally. I am strong and capable of doing what I set my mind to. I am resilient. And for 1 Corinthians 16:13, keep alert, stay firm in your faith, be courageous, and be strong. And so it is.
After these trials and tribulations that we find ourselves in, to show our resilience, and especially in the teachings of unity, they're powerful when you put them into action. So this next song is called Take Control, and it is about rising up and claiming who you are and your divinity when we are spirit-led. So I feel that it's nice divinity in here with that to be able to tie in. And it's about the power of zeal and that fire that we carry with us in every moment. So this song is close to me. I hope that it speaks to you. And as with any affirmative prayer, all of our lyrics are affirmative, so they can be sung or spoken, whatever calls to you. Feel free to listen, move around if you want to. I feel a spark, it lights my way, a fire within that won't decay. With every trial, my wings will spread, eternal flame, I'm spirit-led. The winds of change are rushing in, I feel it rising from within. A force that drives me bold and free, calls me as I'm meant to be. I rise, I claim, my spirit soars. No fear shall bind me anymore. The fire inside, it lights my soul. With open hands, I take control. The pulse of life runs through my veins, a source that moves me never wanes, like rivers carving through the stone. With every step I find my own. The winds of change are rushing in, I feel it rising from within. A force that drives me bold and free, calls me as I'm meant to be. I rise, I claim, my spirit soars. No fear shall bind me anymore. The fire inside, it lights my soul. With open hands, I take control. The dawn is breaking, I'll confess. Ooh, a surge of courage, I am blessed. Yes, you are. Every heartbeat fuels untethered flames, drifting higher, rising, I'm unchained. Ready for this? I rise, I claim, my spirit soars. No fear shall bind me anymore. The fire inside, it lights my soul. With open hands, I take control. The fire within will always glow, a steady light wherever I go. With every step, I am renewed. With endless zeal, I'll see it through. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hazel and Johnny. Y'all are great. Oh, I love it. And the energy here is absolutely wonderful. You know, I don't know if I'm in the majority or the minority, and I don't really care, but I really like this space because it feels like you all are really together from the last time. Yeah, so I know it's hard to let things go. I know that it's a brand new day, and sometimes we get to just go along with the change and say, yes, I am a part of this. So let's just begin. Yes, I am a part of this. Not only am I a part of this, but I get to decide from this moment on, what is my end game in this moment? Because we have the power of choice. Because we are aligned with divine mind, and because we get to choose every moment how we will show up. We get to choose, and I love the fact that you brought up the 12 powers. I love which one of the energy centers, or how many of them, are we going to come from in this moment. And I have a secret to tell you. It's not a secret anymore, but I come from all of them all the time. And I'm beginning to really appreciate how they work together as a portal to new dimensions in awareness. That's a mouthful. But I think unity gets to evolve and change and open up its lingo to match with the 21st century. And I love Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. My spiritual teacher / director knew Cora and Charles personally, so I come from a long lineage. And I love them, and yet we have new teachings, new awarenesses of just how powerful we are, and we are moving into, dare I say, other dimensions. Does that sound a little woo-woo? Well, it's not. It's really not. But we really are learning how, as humanity, to transcend the third dimension while being fully aligned and anchored in it. And that third dimension is simply matter. That third dimension is anything from the power center that we call discernment, wisdom, anything from that devotion center, anything from that source center on down. That's the matter. But when we begin to cross into the bridge of the heart, that's when life gets really dynamic. Because that bridge of the heart allows us to be on the earth and yet be heavenward bound. And we can become earthly good while we are heavenward bound. And today we call that heavenward bound the quantum, okay? And Charles Fillmore referred to it as the ethers of unlimited possibility. And so in that zeal, great songs, both of them, in the zeal that we're looking at, this is the spark that as long as we are moving in passion, and as long as we are allowing the heart to be open, there's nothing that we can't rise above. There is no dilemma we cannot resolve within ourselves. And when you and I decide, I want to know what the end game is, well, guess what? You're in charge of it. Darn. Now, you may not be able to control the Tampa Bay Rays, and that's okay. And we don't need to figure out which team is going to win because we are a part of all teams. And the wonderful thing is when we decide we're moving beyond competition, what a concept. When we decide to move beyond competition, we can root for everyone, everywhere, all the time without exception. Because until we learn to root for everyone, everywhere, all the time, without exception, we'll continue to live in polarity and dysfunction. Who wants that? I certainly don't. And by the way, I have to tell y'all, none of this is written in my notes. You all just brought up a whole new kind of energy in me, so I'm going to actually look down at the notes and see, what was I going to say? No idea. But I was thinking about what are the qualities of being that I choose to embody in this moment. And they, believe it or not, they run the gamut. Because actually, I'm not that much of an extrovert. I'm really an interior person who spends quite a bit of time in meditation and prayer. And I work on the silent plane. That's my favorite place to work. And I've had the opportunity to, wow, what a beautiful reading of my bio. I was impressed. Good. That's what I'm doing up here, so you're in good company. But when we begin to love the interior of our being, when we begin to cherish the gifts that we've been given, when we begin to be willing to cultivate them into full-on expression, then we become individually an entity that affects the rising tide. And if you know that phrase of the rising tide, if I choose to be the entity that affects the rising tide, the end result is going to be I'm lifting all boats. And when you and I choose to honor our unity, to live from our unity, to honor our divinity, then this seeming chaos that threatens to take over the planet becomes a no thing, a nothing, because greater is that power within us than that which is in the world. So I've been thinking and contemplating about excellence. I contemplate about integrity. I think sometimes I feel it's been a word that's been lost. That integrity seems to mean nothing to some people. And what it is they have been so consumed in these centers down here that are with scarcity, with not enoughness, with fear, with separation, with lack. All of those things that you and I know are illusions. Can I have an amen? Amen. Scarcity is illusion, yes? Yes. Lack is an illusion, yes? Yes. Fear is an illusion, yes, although we might entertain it from time to time while getting on the road. Or while standing in line. I do irritation standing in line because I'm too darn good to have to stand in line. Have you ever felt that way? And yet here I am. It was Matt Warren when said that it might be unrealistic for most of us to try and copy extremely altruistic figures. Now, I disagree with him on that, but I do agree that when we talk about Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Jesus, or Buddha, we may not be able to achieve what they achieved, although I doubt that. That hasn't been our MO. But we do get to decide what our MO is. Now, Jesus is my brother. He is my elder brother, and yet I dare say I'm striving for him to be my peer. Have y'all ever said anything like that? What? Mm-mm. Well, that's the end game that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore taught. All these things I do, and greater shall you do. Because why? Not only do I go to the Father, I am in the Father, Mother. I am as the Father. I am the Spirit. And those who see me, who see what? God. But he also said, these things I do. So do we dare to put our unity principles to work in an audacious manner? Yes or no? Yes. Is it a little scary sometimes, yes or no? Yes. Okay. But the realization is fear does not conquer me. It is simply an opportunity for me to rise above it and see beyond the illusion that I am anything less than one with God. Yes? Yes. I want us to engage in the energy that I felt in this room consciously. I want us to begin to assimilate the energy that I felt in this room and take it on as a mantle that allows us to go out there and be the rising tide that lifts all boats. And it starts when we decide I am beginning with the end in mind, and today my end in mind is to connect with you. That's one of them. I had a bunch. And then to see you as the living Spirit of God expressing magnificently. That's another one of them. And then I was hoping that you'd begin to see the same in me. I'm not so sure of that, but you might have to get beyond the persona because she's pretty big. And I am so much more than the persona, as are we. we adopt a persona, and sometimes our persona is shy and retiring. Sometimes our persona is worrying and fretful. Well, those are personas. They came to pass. That is not who we are. That is not where we will ever be. And dear Lord, will I ever get back to my notes. So, what I'm thinking about, and really what I've been talking about, is that God is unchanging principle. And the Christ of you and the Christ of me is unchanging principle. The personality will go through its myriad of phases like costumes that we put on and we take off. But that's all it is. That spark of divinity that is uniquely yours has signed up to come to this earth plane to accomplish, to grow, to evolve in your own personal curriculum. And it may not look like civil nonviolence. It may not look like being on the cross, although I can affirm that all of us have been there at one point or another. And do we have the courage to take ourselves down off the cross? Do we have the courage to rise above the storyline that we had as children or young adults? Can we put aside those tales of woe that sometimes come back to us, and yes, that wounded space in us? Can we love it compassionately enough to allow it to mature, for goodness sake, grow up and find the pony in the midst of all the past stuff, if you've known that story. If you don't, I'll tell you later. So when we are aware of principle, unity principle, universal principle, that all of the spiritual disciplines have, then we are aware, as we are exposed to it, we begin to be curious about it. And then if we're really interested, we begin to become more aware of it operationally in our lives. That's still baby steps, friends. We want to move a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Then we move into that willingness to be obedient to principle. One thing about universal law, you will never break it. You may break yourself trying to run up against it, but you will never break universal law. That's the powerful thing about it. So once we are obedient, I am very obedient to the law of gravity. Not so obedient to the speed limit, but I am obedient to the law of gravity. And I understand what is man-made law, what is universal law, or at least I do so more so. And so as we become aware of the law of love, say, you cannot begrudge anyone anything. You cannot stay in resentment. You cannot move into grudges and live in the law of love. It's impossible. And you know what? Turn that sucker off. It's got a light. So, beginning with the end in mind, are we engaged with each other today? You can choose not to be. But when we are engaged with each other, then we form a collective. And when you and I choose to form a collective, what we decide upon is established in the ethers, in the realm of heaven, in the globe. Oh, heck, let's go beyond that. Let's go into the galaxy. Nah, that's not big enough. Let's go into the universe. Let's go beyond that. Because we are, when we are one with God, a singularity that is every bit as powerful as any spiritual master that walked on the plane. And I don't want to pretend to play small anymore, because there's a lot riding on our willingness to step up. Do you feel that? That if we're not going to step up now, when are we stepping up? And we don't have to make someone wrong to step up. We don't have to throw anyone out of our heart to step up. We can move into that singular space that sees beyond the cloak and dagger costume that many people wear. We can see beyond the greed, the fear, the not enoughness. Yes? Does it take work? Have you ever engaged it? Okay, I was wondering how honest we really were going to be this year, or actually in the last few days. I had a funk crawl all over me. It was embarrassing because I do a lot of meditation and prayer. I tell people they can thank me for keeping the world in its orbit. No ego there, right? But there's something that got a hold of me, and I got in touch with my inner rageaholic. And yes, she's there. She's that. You do not want to mess with her. It comes out with a type A competitive personality that I put away long ago, not really. And so when those aspects of us, that was an inner rageaholic, okay? That's my persona. It may not be in yours. I had to sit her down and tell her I love you. I had to sit her down and say, I accept you in this funk, and I'm going to love everyone else around me enough to stay out of their way, while I do the spiritual things that I know to do, while she establishes herself. And then I found out that in the last few days, there's something the astrologists call the Lionsgate portal. Have any of you heard of that? Darn! And I thought, I don't do astrology. But I went, well, perhaps that lion has gotten a hold of me and decided to express through me. Can I inquire as to what that rage is about? And can I make a tool out of it? Begin with the end in mind. Does it own me, or do I own it? Big question for me. It was from that point that I started listening to some of my spiritual gurus, and Carolyn Mace is one of them, and Joe Dispenza is another one, and Neville Goddard is another one. Charles and Myrtle are other ones. I have lots of spiritual teachers that I go to. And so is Facebook. I have this thing that I have been following that's called Galactic Lightworkers. I'm there. I've played on Earth. Let me move beyond it. But when we recognize the playground that we have, that rageaholic that I faced is not so fearsome. That wounded child that I have in my history, she's not unredeemable. And that greedy person that needs to be in the front of the line that doesn't do lines, well, I get to love her too. Beginning with the end in mind does not mean that you throw aspects of yourself out. It simply means that you move into alignment with welcoming them and asking them, inquiry, what is it you have to teach me in this moment? The Fillmores studied and knew all about these wonderful energy centers that they talked about in their 12 powers, and they were from many, many spiritual disciplines. By whatever name you call it, it could be the chakras, and they're not only 7, heck of a lot more than that. You could call it the wheels of energy that the Buddhists call it. You could call it the energy centers that Joe Dispenza talks about. You could call it the chi. You could call it meridians. The Native Americans would have looked at the medicine wheel. So humanity understands that there are various aspects of energy. And it's up to us to be mindful of them until we rule them, until we deliberately allow them to be expressing in certain ways for whatever it is called for. Do you think, I'm asking, I've gone out on a limb here. Actually, I've gone out on several. I think I'm over in the branches over there. But have you considered that you get to rule these portals that go into the mindless space of the vortex that was there in the morning when God created heaven and earth and darkness covered the face of the deep? This face of the deep is not something that is to be feared. This face of the deep is the origin of all these energy centers, and this idea that we can move in alignment with the unknown and begin to create a new heaven and earth. That's our destiny. We don't have to put up with this material chaos here. We can be the rising tide that lifts all boats. And by choosing to enter and understand that every single one of these powers is really a portal to your unlimited possibility. And so you get to pick whether it's faith. But faith is also, in the Hindu tradition, faith is the center of the seat of Brahman. Did you know that? And the seat of Brahman has an all unlimited view of everything that's going on. So we look at those not only with the unity filter, but let's expand our viewpoint and take into possibility that other disciplines may have something to offer us. And that as I become in contact, and I've done enough meditation to speak with a little bit of authority, that each one, my first center, second, third, fourth, fifth, they all have different energy signatures to them. And you and I can be discerning enough, power, can be discernment, judgment, to be able to say, which power do I need to utilize in this moment? And by embracing these powers, we begin to master them. It's one thing to be awake and aware and alive and alert. It's one thing to be metaphysical, to be mission-driven, but eventually you and I are going to move into mastery. And that's what every illumined spiritual teacher, master on this planet has told us. Stop playing small. You have the tools. You get to use them. And I have given you an easy formula with the title of my talk. Begin at the frippin' finish line. Decide how it is that you want to show up and then do it. And the key and the secret of it is, and I love this, you don't have to feel it before you act it. I don't wait to feel loving and sweet and kind and nice in order to start acting that way. You all would be waiting a long time. I did tell you about my inner rageaholic, right? Did I tell you about the persona that does not wait in line? Yeah. And part of self-reflection is the willingness to take a hard look at how we show up in our separate self. And we think other people don't see it. They do. I've played pickleball enough to know my husband says, if you think people don't see your attitude when you're losing, you're wrong. So I go, all I can do is embrace that 5-year-old child. I know where she came from. Thank you, Boyce, my brother. Thank you, Dad, that trained me really well to be uber competitive. But we accept those fractured parts of ourselves. We begin to integrate them and welcome back into the tribe. And I believe that when we can do that with ourselves, we can begin to look at some of the personas that are playing on planet Earth in such a large way and begin to welcome them back into the tribe of compassion, because judging them doesn't work. Complaining about them really doesn't have an effect. And wishing that they were somewhere else isn't going to work either, because they are mirroring aspects of us. Where have I showed up like some of the things that I feel resistance to? And I'm beginning to understand that I'm welcoming that aspect of me too. I see it. I love this story in the wars of feudal Japan. And forgive me if a couple of years ago I shared it. It's been a minute since I've been here, and lots have changed. There was an invading army that quickly swept through a town to take control. And in one village, everyone fled before the army arrived. I mean, they knew what was going down. Everyone except a Zen monk. And curious about this old monk, the general came in, and the monk did not seem to be afraid of him. And he came in and sat himself in the monk's hut, and the monk did not rise, he did not stir, he did not do anything. And he said, "Old man, you fool, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I could do? Why, without blinking, I could take this sword and run you through. And the monk paused and then began to say in a very soft voice, "And do you realize," said the master, "that you are standing before a man who could be run through without blinking an eye?" When we can cease to take offense, when we can cease to be fearful of anything in the matter, in the material, when our source is spiritual, then we are moving along the lines of mastery. The unity teachings center around the Jesus Christ message of unity with God now. They center around the realm of unbounded possibilities available now. Those who indeed see you see God. I take on this mantle in my life, and I recognize, regardless of the camouflage that I put on from time to time, there is nothing but God playing in her spiritual sandbox. And this is who we are. I talked about this as being spiritual intimacy. And if you take that word apart, it's like into me see God. You could put something else there. Into me see a rageaholic. Into me see a miser. But why do that when we have the opportunity to begin with the end in mind? Into me see. Now just take a moment. What do you want to be seen as? How like? Into me see. All right, somebody, come on. Peace, love, happy, joy. You all could talk all at the same time because you're the tide that's lifting all boats. Into me see the living truth of God that is all things at all times, in all places, here and now. I don't need to wait till tomorrow, and neither do you. There's this phrase that says, "Hey, God, I'm falling apart. Can you please put me back together?" This was on the Spiritual Scriptures of Facebook. And the answer was no, I'd rather not, because you are more than a puzzle. And that's when Elizabeth took over. You are, now take a breath, a dynamic, evolutionary masterpiece in the making. I am a dynamic, evolutionary masterpiece in the making. Come on. I am a dynamic, evolutionary masterpiece in the making. We are no longer Homo sapiens, and we are not even Homo noeticus, as Barbara Marx Hubbard would say. We are Homo spiritus. Yes. And it's time that we own it. So, you get to decide when you're beginning with the end in mind. And what I'm listening to in my mind, feeling in my heart, experiencing in my body? Is it truth? Is it fact? Or is it propaganda? And then you get to look at your relationships in life. Is this relationship and how I'm relating to this individual based in truth, fact, or bias? And then you get to look at the world stage. Man, that's a lot more fun. Takes a little more compassion and judgment and faith and strength and life and zeal and wisdom and understanding and the ability to accomplish. Did I get them all? And we get to decide, what filter am I seeing when I see what's going on? And do I have the courage to be the rising tide that lifts all boats? And my beloved friends, you've invited me here, and I'm so very grateful. And I want to tell you, I see you. You are the rising tide that lifts all boats. And we have begun with the end in mind. Namaste. in the stratosphere. Oh, you mean this isn't centered? Amen. Amen. We are here as the living Christ. We open into our divinity, and spirit is set free. We open. We take a breath, breathing in the living Spirit of God. That as this Spirit enters every fiber, every cell, every organ and tissue of our being, it moves beyond the physical boundary of our body into the energy body. And we become the radiating center of truth, the radiating center of love. And we allow ourselves to be a transmitter of compassion, broadcasting across a weary world that eagerly takes in this sustenance of truth, of love, of peace. How shall we, as a community, broadcast this reality into our world? How shall we share, transmit the living, breathing Christ to touch those who are hungry, in pain? How shall we embrace those who feel separate? How shall we be to them as Christ? And how shall we be received in this moment as we prepare to enter into the very quietness of our soul? Let us be mindful that we are transmitting and receiving. And how shall we broadcast the love of God? Into me, see God, into me, see God, into me, see see God. Into thee I see God. Into thee I see God. Into me thee and we, let us behold the living God. Amen.
Okay, so now we'll have another selection from our meta team here, and they're just doing so wonderful. Don't you just feel your vibration? Just soak it in. Take it away.
Piece is called Unbreakable, and it is inspired by the unity power of strength. Now, when we were writing this song, we thought, I've had a lot of problems going into the silence myself. There's a lot going on in this brain and in this heart. And blending those two together and feeling strong in that silence has been a journey for the past 2 years that I've been investing in Unity teachings. So with that, as we began really figuring out ways to incorporate feeling strong in that silence, I said, why don't we call upon the power of strength? And that's where Unbreakable came from. It does encompass a lot more than that, but I find as a community, I've seen that some of the biggest feats that we've accomplished as a movement come from what we hear in the silence, from that inner Christ spirit. So we hope you enjoy. In the silence, I stand my ground, a steady heartbeat, no shadows found. I feel the power rise inside. In every breath I grow, I thrive. Feel free to jive in your chair. If you want to stand up, if you feel called to, that's more than wanted. The wind may roar, the night may fall, but I won't break. I stand tall. I am unbreakable. I stand in light. I am unstoppable. Love is my might. With every breath, I rise again. Strength is my power, now and then. I am unbreakable. I stand in light.
Through the valleys, I walk with grace. No fear can shake this sacred place. Each step I take, I'll claim my way. I know that I am here to stay.
The winds may roar, the night may fall, but I won't break. I
is my might. Yeah. With every breath, I rise again. Strength is my power now and then. I am unbreakable. I stand in light. Through every challenge, I rise above. Bound by this peace, held by this love. I give no power to doubt or fear. I know that strength is always here. I am unbreakable. I stand in light. I am unstoppable. Love is my might. Yeah. With every breath, I rise again. Strength is my power now and then. I am unbreakable. I stand in light. The wind may roar, the night may fall, but I won't break. I stand tall.
Now, between that talk and that song, we can do it all. We can do it. And I love that word, homo spiritus. That's what we all are. So just, give Reverend Elizabeth another hand for that great, wonderful, and inspiring talk. All right. So as usual, we want to thank all our volunteers here. And without you all, this service just would not happen. And we do this out of love. We do this because we're committed to our calling and we're committed to a better place and a better world. So thank you all for showing up every time. And this afternoon, after service, we have our wonderful, beautiful, cherished Reverend Barbara Williams, who will be continuing her book study with us. And this will be class number 2 out of 4. And just stop by, grab a snack from the cafe and come back in and join us. If you're not able to on Wednesday, you can join her on Zoom. Thursday at 10:30, we have Meditation and Healing Circle with Sarah Fredrickson. And that's another great opportunity for growth. And next Sunday, August 17th at 10:30, our guest speaker will be Reverend Marcia McCartney. And her topic will be the New Jerusalem, a new heaven and a new earth. And as usual, we have our Inspiration Station, a learning center, and books and gifts that also help us along this journey of spiritual growth. And all our children, and was that little girl that was here? Maybe she's in the Inspiration Center. That's our kids' room where they can play. And we'll just take a moment to go in as we prepare our gifts. And just know that whatever we give, it goes to furthering the work here and just enriching lives. And our ushers will come forward. Okay, and while they're doing that, we'll have another song from Meta. Okay, yes, let's do our affirmation. Absolutely. And together, I give thanks for all my blessings. I share my gifts freely, and I receive gratefully. I am in the flow of abundant life.
Hope you enjoy this next one. It's a shout out to Charles Fillmore and for how he recognized that the radio would change communication in our lives forever and how that would further Christ consciousness spreading throughout the planet. Very grand. But there is a message that I'll be reading in what will sound like a radio voice, and it's a message to the world.
Today is the day. We will rejoice. We will give back to the people who make it so, and we will bring joy to those who seek it.
Woke up with the sun on my skin, heartbeat drumming deep within. Every breath a sacred start, life divining my crimson heart. I once lived by the world's commands, chasing dreams that slipped through my hands. My life kept calling past the noise. In quiet surrender, I found my voice. But now I know what lives in me, sets free the soul I'm born to be. I am filled with life, sweet life, radiant love and holy light. I breathe it in, I pour it out. I live with joy, I live out loud. Centered, cleansed, and purified. Every moment sanctified. Living fully, facing it all. I am life, I am the call. I take action by my own command, claiming dreams I've forged by these hands. I live life even through the noise. In quiet surrender, I have a voice. But now I know what lives in me, sets free the soul I'm born to be. You might know it by now. I am filled with life, sweet life, radiant love and holy light. I breathe it in, I pour it out. I live with joy, I live out loud. I tried to hide the light within, forgot the joy that's always been. But stillness called me tenderly, and silence gave it back to me. I tried to hide the light within, forgot the joy that's always been. But stillness called me tenderly, and silence gave it back to me. Yeah, you know this part. I am filled with life, sweet life, radiant love and holy light. I breathe it in, I pour it out. I live with joy, I live out loud. Thank you.